taking that idea of making Germany stronger and the leader stronger throughout the 1930s, Hitler was able to negotiate Germany into a position of international strength. And this can be through a variety of different factors and actors. But how was he able to achieve this? Was it through his own skill, or was it through the weakness of different bodies, say Neville Chamberlain or the League of Nations?
So it was a combination, of course. But it was primarily, I mean, he had, even though he was very lucky with these national events that happened around him, he did have skills of his own. Of course, his greatest skill was, as I've said earlier, was his powers of oratory. Anytime he made a speech, seemed to win over his audience. But he had lots of other skills, you might say. He was certainly very self-opinionated, self-confident, arrogant. He was passionate towards other people. So he had many traits rather than qualities. And yes, he used them. He used them as soon as he had the power of a dictator. By this time, remember, it's a long time that he had this run of luck. And by this time, he believed, he could see that he was lucky. And he then became what you might call an addicted gambler almost, who believes that they're going to win everything. And that is what, and that confidence, extreme confidence, it carried him a long, long way. Somehow or another, he understood that if he demanded something, said he was going to do something and did it, he seemed to be able to stop him, which is, a skill in its own. For example, immediately, as Chancellor, he had obviously been talking a lot about what he was going to be doing. Now he was Chancellor and dictator. He set about immediately carrying them out. And what we have to remember is that Germany was under this huge pressure from the Treaty of Versailles, which at the end of the war imposed huge financial reparations on the German nation. So Germany, already poor, was having to pay out vast sums of money to the victors of the First War. Which might sound fair, since it caused a lot of damage, but the thing was, it meant that Germany was kept poor, as they were giving away so much of their whatever income they made. The other thing that was restricted was by the Treaty of Versailles, with the size of the armed forces. Germany was not allowed to have fair-sized armed forces. But I think the third thing was probably the most important, and that was the Treaty of Versailles made Germany accept or confess or agree that they had started the war. Well, they did, but what that did was it then put all the blame onto Germany and therefore onto the German people. And of course, at the end of it, they had to surrender. They had to admit defeat. What this created in Germany was a wide feeling of shame. And Hitler tapped into that perfectly. That's really politically what had made him so popular, because of those policies. And he had promised that he would solve all of those things. And so the first thing that more or less the first thing that he did, that after the war, the Americans had formed what was known as the League of Nations. It's really kind of a forerunner to the United Nations today. And all countries were members. All countries were members and promised peaceful futures. But Hitler stepped in and he announced at a meeting of the League of Nations, in front of all of these nations, totally boldly, without any hesitation, he announced that one, Germany was going to leave the League of Nations. Why? We're away. And the other thing is, you're not going to get any more money from this. You're not going to get any more reparations. Well, you can imagine how popular that was in Germany, very popular. And they saw this. This is the strong leader we've been waiting for. That's how that was interpreted. That added to his prestige, added to his sense of power, and also added to his own self-belief. So that wasn't strong enough. So he used that from then on, over the next few years, to rebuild the armed forces. To his economy, he set out what was called a 4-year plan. But what it was spend money rebuilding forces, building weapons, and suddenly unemployment dropped. People had money in their pocket. Armed forces were being built up. Weapons were being built. Even the Air Force was being rebuilt. Now, all of this was against the rules, against the Treaty of Versailles. So what on earth were all the other countries doing, letting him please himself? Well, he just couldn't believe it. Well, he did believe it. He was astonished that he was getting to do anything that he wanted. Even mass murder, or even murder. You may have heard of the Night of the Long Knives. Well, this was just a year into his power, and I had already mentioned him earlier to you, the SA, the brown shirts. By this time, they were a massive paramilitary army, really. And the leader of it was Ernst Röhm, who had done a terrific job for Hitler, for the SA, in creating this large military power. Trouble was, Hitler now was looking over his shoulder, and whispers from his secret police whether Röhm was maybe getting a bit too big for his boots. He maybe was going to be a threat to Hitler, because Hitler really wanted now to take control of the SA himself. So what did he do? He arranged with a few of his SS guards to visit Röhm, who was having day away in a hotel by the lake. By the way, Röhm was a homosexual, and did have some friends with him. Anyway, Hitler, with a gun in his hand, and his SS bodyguards entered the hotel and promptly shot several of the Röhm's fellows and threw Röhm in prison, and handed him a gun and gave him the option to shoot himself. Incidentally, Röhm didn't shoot himself, and an officer went in and shot him instead. But and actually out of that, hundreds of other people were shot, because there was a list. I think this is indicative of the style of rule of the Nazis. And before Hitler went to take over the SA, he made a list of people who he saw as being potential trouble or just a nuisance. And he turned it with 400 people were killed, murdered during that day, which now known as Night of the Long Knives. Perhaps the most astonishing outcome of it was he declared what he had done to Parliament, to the people, and he said that he was clearing out the rot, that he had defeated an attempted coup, and instead of making him incriminating himself as a murderer, it's made him more popular. He was seen as even more powerful, even more important. A man who could get things done, a man who could get Germany on the right road.
You've definitely really shown how Hitler was able to build that power abroad and internationally by standing up to the Treaty of Versailles, which people hated so much, and standing up to the League of Nations, but also consolidating that control at home, which is so important for dictators as well.